Lots happening this week. We're going to be breaking down Bitcoin. We'll also take a look at a new network for meme coins that I don't think you guys want to miss because we could see some market action that I think you'll like. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. Let's dive into it today. As you guys can see, I am not in studio. Yes, I'm out at a conference. I actually had a chance to meet up with some blockchain people, but also I'm at a conference that is starting to look at blockchain, crypto, and Web3 technology, possibly to shift one of the biggest markets out there. More on that later, but I do want to get into our sponsor today. And of course, that is Tangem. If you guys are looking at self-custody, jump into the Tangem wallet. Now, the cool thing about Tangem is that this is a super card and app that works fabulously with your phone. And the nice thing is it's very easy to set up. It's super secure. And best of all, it's not that expensive. So make sure and hit that little Get Tangem button right there. This is going to take you to the 3-card set. Get that. It's going to give you an extra backup. And of course, use our code down below. It's going to give you a little bit of a discount, and we'll go from there. Hey, let's get into a couple of points I want to talk about today. And one of the things that I think is important, when you look at not only what the Fed is doing, but also look at the macro elements that are starting to put some pressure on not only the economy, but I think on risk assets as well as traditional assets. And we're going to get into some of that today. All right, so one of the articles I want to hit on right here is the Fed's rate cut cushion. This is good news for crypto because a couple of things that are going to be playing in this. I'll zoomed up a little bit for you. Consensus view of Wall Street is that the Federal Reserve will lower overnight borrowing rates from 5.33 today to 3.33 over the next 18 months. This is a pretty big deal. So this could have two potential factors. One is for the risk markets. The other that I'm concerned with, of course, is going to see things around the traditional markets, and this includes securities, but it is going to affect, I think, households. Now, how fast that affects households is the question mark, and that's the one we're watching very closely. Another thing I want to jump to is this tweet right here. Fed rate cuts finally coming. We've gone 13 months since the last Fed rate cut without a cut, marking the second longest period since 1970s, or, that's a long time, man. This is only behind June 2006 and September 07, when we saw a 15-month between the last rate cut increase for the first reduction. So that is pretty significant when you look at how long the Fed has held on to these rates. And I think the one thing that you have to consider right here is, one factor is how fast will the Fed cut, because there's still a potential hope that we might see a little bit of a move on where the Fed could stop. And what I mean by that is it a quarter point? Is a half point? Do we see something that is maybe even more aggressive going into next year? I want to go to a clip real quick because I think this will give you an insight of what some of the analysts are thinking in terms of that trajectory. Take a look.
Inflation is still above target, and this last part of the journey is always very difficult. And Jerome Powell should know that. He declared victory last December, only to find out that in the first quarter of 2024, inflation perked up again. Whether August turns out to be significantly higher job creation or not, the Fed is determined to cut on September 18th. I think it is no longer data dependent. In fact, even though the Fed says it is data dependent, they want to interpret the data to suit whatever they want to do. And clearly, Jerome Powell and a few of his colleagues have been itching for several months to cut rates. Unfortunately, it did not work out in December. And in September of this year, they are going to do it somewhat May, Leslie. So my expectation is once they do that, you're going to cause one more of a rally. And now the markets essentially made the Fed promise a rate cut. 25 basis points is not going to be enough on September 18th. The market is going to want 50. Why not 75? Why not keep increasing, cutting it by 50 basis points every meeting?
Yeah.
Problem with it is there is no end when the Fed becomes a follower rather than the leader of the market. When you don't have set principles that you determine interest rates by, the markets are going to take advantage of it.
All right, so a couple of points there that I want to get in on. And one is the idea around this issue, and that is the Federal Reserve's rate cut could for financial markets. Now, a lot of people have said before, and we've had a couple of analysts on our show before that have talked about this. A couple of points is that once the Fed starts cutting, could that mean the decline of the traditional securities market? Reality is aggressive cuts from the Fed might not be as sweet a deal for traders. And if the past is any guide, the rate cuts could end up being a disaster for both the stock and crypto markets. So there's a couple of different opinions here dueling it out. But the thing is, as the Fed Reserve slashes rates too much or too fast, it could send a message that something is seriously wrong with the economy. I don't anticipate much in the way of a rate cut that is going to be beyond a quarter point. If we get something in and beyond a quarter point, I would say that means that there is something coming out of the data that Chair Powell sees. Maybe we don't even know what it is, and it could be these jobs numbers. Because remember, we saw a huge downturn in the adjustment of jobs, and if we actually get some truthful data out of the Fed and out of the Bureau of Labor statistics, it's possible that we could be going into a very, very dark time around jobs. That's not necessarily said, but it could move us into a half point. So that's the point I'm getting at. The half point could actually happen. If you look at the daily on Bitcoin, you'll see we've got a lot of positive sentiment still, even though that the market is moving a little bit down on the day. But we may see this start to turn out being a good week for Bitcoin. So we're watching this right now. If we see any signals that could push us down on Bitcoin, we'll definitely keep you guys up to speed on it. Another one that, of course, we are watching right now is Solana. Had a nice couple days over the weekend, running up to 100 and almost 60. Actually, I think it hit 162. So again, very bullish right now on Solana, even though on the daily it's looking bearish on the trailing stop. But if you go into the 4 hour, let me paint that up for you guys, and you can kind of see something. This starts to get to a little bit more bullish on the trailing stop, and money flow is moving in a little bit. Plus, you have overall sentiment metrics showing nicely. So, a couple of things I would look at right now is how does all of this play out for this week? If people are trading this week, what would be the things that you're watching? A couple to kind of keep an eye on, and this is something you've probably seen us talk about on Tron, is you've got to start looking at, is there a meme coin ecosystem that's going to start running, and or are we going to see some big announcements coming in from some of these chains? Because timing around these rate cuts, around what we'll see maybe with a pretty bullish fall, and a lot of these events. Remember, Ripple swell, Avalanche has their summit. You've got Solana holding breakpoint. You've got Token 49. All of that's happening in the next 60 days. So don't sleep on some of these moves. We're going to see some action. Let's go over and continue on here. I want to kind of break into a couple of other elements here. All right, so I want to jump over to this statement right here. We're not bullish enough. Percentage of Ethereum held on centralized exchanges now hit a new all-time low. Everybody is parking Ethereum. That means it's long-term. They're ready in for the ride, and people are locked and loaded. Are you still buying Ethereum? Are you trying to do any accumulation? This may be the thing that we continue to see some move on supply shock for Ethereum. Now, I think to get supply shock, we're probably going to have to see the ETF move a little harder. The other thing that's going to play into this is the political landscape. And of course, RFK Jr. joined the Trump campaign and withdrew from the 2024 presidential election. We kind of saw this coming. And that, of course, is if you're following our crypto tracker on politics, he had been falling a lot in the crypto community. So it started to become a two-horse race. And if you look at Polymarket, let me jump over to Polymarket real quick. Polymarket currently has, as of recording right now, and this jumps around a lot, Trump is edging up slightly at 50% over 49 with Harris' campaign. And this is where we're going to probably see a lot more independent voters start to move into the Republican camp. Again, I know that may not sit well for many of you, but this is the issue I think we're going to be facing. All right, so let's go into another area, and this is going in a little bit deeper on Tron and why we're looking at this chain very closely right now, because there are some key significant things. And I want to share my screen here with you guys and go a little deeper into the CoinMarketCap. Now we'll jump over to CoinMarketCap. And let's go down here to what's happening with Tron. Let me zoom in on that right there, guys. Toncoin, and I understand, yes, Pavel got arrested in France. We understand that. That's the founder of Telegram, Toncoin, the association there. We saw the drop off. You had a 20% rundown on Toncoin. Yes, that's the situation. Tron, of course, flipped, but really, Tron has flipped both Cardano and Toncoin. So let's just make that clear. Tron is on the move, and there's been a lot of activity over the weekend on many of the meme coins. And I'll just go over to this tweet right here. Because if you look at some of the things that are out there, actually, it's this article right here. I want to go to Sunpump. The surge shifts are focusing from Solana to Tron. Solana's pump.fun saw a 47% drop in launches, hitting 5-month low. But guess who is growing? And that is into Pump. Sunpump is what we're probably going to see moving into the next layer of where Tron picks up the baton when it comes to meme coins. And there's a handful of them that I think we, of course, have been watching. If you guys aren't in the Diamond Circle, get in there because we'll drop a few nuggets in there for information might be moving. Pump growing now at Pump.Fund's expense. That's the big one that you guys need to be paying attention to. And this tweet right here, I think, hits it perfectly. And that is all eyes on Tron. This from Justin Sun after his interview with Ran Over Crypto Banner. So I want to jump over to this WebX 2024 event. Now, there is something that is very interesting happening at this event. You'll notice that I'm on the Tron stage, okay? And that's, fairly normal. But if you look at the people who are involved on the Tron stage here, Osaka Digital Exchange, securities groups, the chief executive officer of Digital Securitization Department, the senior managing executive officer of the SBI, which is essentially like our SEC. There's Yatsu, and then of course right there, the Tron keynote by Justin Sun. Will we see something happening at this event? Because it's happening right now. And one of the things that I'm watching is what's happening over here on the Bitflyer stage. And this is the Prime Minister of Japan, and of course, the METI minister also available and going to be there. And let's don't forget that Sonium's CEO is at the event as well. We reported on this last week. Sonium starting to plug into a handful of blockchains, and most likely we're going to see some action there. So just be aware, guys, there are some huge issues starting to brew over at WebX, and all this could play into a big future for a lot of these blockchains going forward. So the way to keep ahead of this is subscribe to the channel. You've got to subscribe right now. Just stop what you're doing, hit that subscribe button, hit a like button. If you are subscribed, make sure and hit that little bell because it's going to give you notifications when we do our live stream, and we'll get into all that good stuff for you guys. I know I'm going to be here remote for another day at this conference, but we will be coming to you. We've got a special interview coming very soon. Don't miss it. We'll try to put it on a premiere so it will notify you when we put it up. And we'll catch you next time. It's going to be a good one. Follow me on X. It's just @Paul Barron. Catch you next time right here on TechPath.